So this year's Quick Reads had 3 authors that I was familiar with and 3 authors who were new to me authors. How perfect is that? Welcome to another reading vlog. Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel at least twice a week, and then movie reviews here at the weekend. In the description box you will find all of my social links, including my blog and my Goodreads. And if you are already following me on Goodreads, you will have seen that I have been reading this year's 2021 Quick Reads titles. I will leave a link to the reading agency website with all the information that you need about Quick Reads, and specifically what they're about, this year's Quick Reads titles, etc. In the description box below. And of course I will have the buy links to all of these books in the description box below as well. I did this vlog last year where I read all of the 2020 Quick Reads titles and gave you my thoughts on them as I was reading them, so I will leave that video linked up above in case you missed it. But let's quickly get into the 6 titles. I won't tell you too much about them because when I go into the actual vlog about them, I kind of go into a little bit of detail about what the book is about. But we have Wish You Were Dead by Peter James. Peter James writes crime thrillers. This one reads a little bit like a horror, so it's definitely on the thrillery side of crime. And I had not read anything by Peter James before. Then we have The Skylight by Louise Candlish. I do have a few book reviews for books by Louise Candlish, including a book launch vlog, so I will leave that linked up above. But this one is a thriller and it is wonderful. Then we have The Baby Is Mine by Oyinkan Braithwaite. I'm sure I pronounce that differently every time, but this was a new to me author, and this one is a kind of like a drama, but it takes place during the pandemic, but not in the UK or the US, so that was very interesting to read. And then we have The Motive, which is actually a prequel to a series, and this one is definitely a crime thriller as well. And then finally we have How to Be a Woman by Caitlin Moran, which is a kind of abridged version of her full-length non-fiction book How to Be a Woman by Caitlin Moran, which is a favourite of the channel and is something I have reread recently. I have a very special edition of it, literally like just sitting just here. And yes, I was hoping to be able to do this one on audio, but it didn't come out on audio. I did read one of these on audio, however. So let us get on with the vlog. So I am starting off with the first chapter of Louise Candlish's The Skylight. This is about a woman who lives in the sort of flat above another couple and can see them at their kitchen table through the skylight. Apparently she witnesses something, and then that leads to a turn of events. So I've literally just read the first chapter. Very Louise Candlish so far, really enjoying it. I will keep you updated. So I've just got to 30% and there's just been a couple of big revelations. So we're at the end of the first act clearly, but I'm impressed that so much has happened so far. This is the beauty of a quick read. So much can happen in such a short space of time, but I'm like, oh, keep turning the pages, keep going, find out what happens. And just like that, end of act 2, things are all unraveling a little bit. All lots of revelations, but like I say, it's moving very pacily onwards, so I will catch up with you when I'm finished. Well, that was excellent. If you are already a Louise Candlish fan, it's like a little bonus, like a little treat in between books. Get ready for The Heights, her next book. And if you are new to her, it is a great way to discover a new author. Obviously she had a short story in last year's A Fresh Start Quick Reads collection, which was also excellent, but this one was like, oh, she writes some twisted characters, she really does. But yeah, onwards. So we'll switch from something fairly dark and thrilling to something hopefully a little lighter. We're going into Saving the Day by Katie Ford, which is somebody who is ready for a life change, sees a job advertisement in a cafe, and then goes with learning how to cook to hopefully land that job. So this one should be interesting. I did want to go with an author that I wasn't familiar with next, but those 3 are all quite dark too, So I was like, we'll go with something a little lighter and then we'll switch back. So yes, let's jump in and see what it's like. So I've just read the first 30%. The main character is 20. I can't remember the last time I read a main character who was that young but wasn't a teen. So that's interesting. It's very different, and her sort of perception of the world is obviously different as it is when you are 20. She definitely needs to get out of the relationship she's in. I'm not saying that it's all Ryan. It's, you know, definitely not a match. But I'm liking the kind of new direction her life is going in. So we'll see if she does end up saving the day, or somebody else ends up saving her day, perhaps. Well, things are starting to get just a little bit romantic. So we shall see what happens with that. It's very exciting. Definitely a lot lighter than the last book. So, well, that was a gloriously satisfying ending. You know, with a Katie Ford book that you are going to have the satisfaction. It's one of those where it's predictable, but predictable in just the best way. And yeah, like I say, it was interesting having a 20-year-old protagonist. I don't feel like I've read anything else with a 20-year-old protagonist before, so it's definitely different. So we're now going for a Detective Roy James, I think I said that right, story. He goes on holiday with his family to France, but somebody that he put behind bars a little while ago finds out that he's there, just gets out of prison. Sounds like it might be a little bit scary. So I don't know if it's because I'm coming to the series kind of, I haven't read any of this series before, and it's obviously part of a series, or if it's just because it's kind of slightly out of my genre, but I'm not sort of vibing with this one as much. I'm just over halfway through, and it's definitely kind of scary. So I'm not sure if it's meant to be like a crime, or meant to be a horror, meant to be a thriller. I think that's where I'm not kind of vibing with it as much. It's not got as much, it's not as kind of clear cut, because I don't know the author and I don't know the characters, but it's definitely quite thrilling so far. But some of the things kind of don't feel like they join up as nicely to me, but we shall see. So the ending of that one was, yeah, it was pretty grim. It was interesting. Yeah, it definitely felt like it was like part of something bigger, rather than being just a standalone short story type of thing, even though it definitely was short and standalone. But yeah, I think if I was more into that series or into that genre, I would enjoy it. I will say, sort of compared to the other two, it was definitely took slightly longer to read. And it's interesting because the Kindle, like, tell you how long it takes to read thing, did say that it was probably about half an hour longer than the other two. And I think that's just because there's some like bits and pieces for you to get your head around, like who's who and why this person's got revenge on this cop. But now I'm going to try The Baby Is Mine, and see what goes on with that. Now this one I think does happen in COVID times, so we'll see. I'll let you know. So I think the difference with this one is that it's the lockdown in Nigeria. We're in Lagos, and so for me it's kind of enough removed from my own personal lockdown experience that I don't mind that it's happening during COVID time. It's very interesting because Bambi gets kicked out by his girlfriend for cheating, and arrives at his aunt's house after his uncle has just died, because obviously his options are limited during lockdown. And she's there, but his uncle's mistress is also there. There's a new baby, and both of them are claiming to have this new baby, so they're kind of like trying to work out how to get a maternity test when all the testing taking place is COVID testing. And it's uncomfortable, I have to say. So the ending of that one was kind of bittersweet. There was sort of like lots of action in the middle that I didn't see coming, and then yeah, the ending of it, I was like, oh, it's kind of, yeah, a little bit sad, but got some, you know, a little bit of humour in there. I want to find out what happens next. It's interesting. With none of the other books have been like, want to know what happens next. They're all quite conclusive, and so this one's kind of left you like, I turned the page and it was like acknowledgement. Like, oh, okay, All right. So we're moving on to another thriller now, and then I will finish off with the Caitlin Moran condensed How to Be a Woman. So exciting. So I actually found the motive on Scribd as an audiobook, and so that's how I'm going to consume that one, because I haven't done any of the others as audiobook, so I can kind of give you a review of the book and the audio. So this is the motive, which is a prequel to East of Hounslow. So this is like a prequel to a series, so it's another one that's part of a series. So we'll see how we get on with that. It sounds like we've got like police and drugs and crime, so we'll see how we get on. I'll let you know. It's interesting because it starts on the day of the Brexit vote, which is like a really clear like picture in my mind. And so I'm like, oh, I didn't expect that. I didn't see that coming. So I finished listening. It definitely reads like a prequel because it kind of ends and then it's like, I kind of want to know more, but I don't really. It's not really my genre. However, it's very well written. I will say, I think that because of the level of detail, because they talk about like procedures and codes and people being in like certain locations and things, I think it might work better as a book that you read as opposed to a book that you listen to. So I was kind of like, oh, I think I missed something like a couple of times there, but that's just my honest opinion. Again, I think as a quick reads and an introduction to a new author and an introduction to this series, I guess, I think that it works really well, and it's good to have that genre represented in the quick reads. However, if you've got the option to, I might go for the Kindle or the physical book over the audiobook. So far, the quick reads version of How to Be a Woman is pretty much the same as the other one. It's got all the like essence in there. It's made me laugh so far. So if you haven't read How to Be a Woman, this quick reads version could be the answer for you. Although I highly recommend doing the other one on audiobook, has to be said. So I do absolutely adore the way that Caitlin Moran talks about pubic hair in any of her books, any of them, fiction or non-fiction. But I've just read the chapter on her wedding, and it's just like, after all these years, no one ever mentions our wedding day again. We've just agreed that that's for the best. And I'm like, I like the fact that she's just come to that conclusion. It's just like, yeah, this is what it is. I'm glad I found someone who shares my opinion on belts. A belt, people are wrong about belts, she says. A belt is often not a good friend to a lady. It just helps people to decide which half is fatter, the top half or the bottom half. I am not a fan of a belt. As soon as I buy a garment that has a belt, I cut the belt off and the belt goes. If it's like a decent belt, it goes in donation. If it's just like a same fabric type of belt, it goes in the bin. End of discussion. No belts. I love the fact that that one ends with a 2020 postscript where she talks about how she kind of, does she know how to be a woman yet? I don't know, but she talks about, you know, how her sort of opinion of feminism has changed. It's not just to do with wanting women to have the same rights as men, but kind of recognizing what it is to be a woman and then trying to make it better. I love that. I mean, like, just bonus Caitlin Moran is always a good time. So there you have it. There are my thoughts and views on the 6 quick reads titles for 2021. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. If you did, let me know which sounds like it would be your favorite in the comments. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up. I will be back with more reading vlogs and bookish content and book reviews for you very soon. So make sure you are subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out, and so you don't miss out on my movie review that I'm going to be posting this weekend. And yes, thank you so much for watching. I will see you with my next video.